secure.
Well, let's say that, with the exception of some places like Citi, which is, I would say, pretty close to bulletproof, I hope, right? Because that's where my accounts are. Anyway, with the exception of some places like Citi, what are you finding, Emery, when you're looking at some of these cloud providers? Do you find them to be, in general, average compared to an average private installation in terms of the safeguards they have for security? Or are they an arm and a leg way in front, or are they kind of lagging behind, or is it kind of all over the place?
I think you see a full range. I mean, I see enough of them that you literally see a full range. But one of the things that we hear a lot with our own organization and others in terms of adoption is, the first reason that they don't want to move to cloud is because they're not sure it's secure. The second reason, after you say, okay, you don't have a choice, you're moving, they say, well, now you're complaining about the cost. It was like, well, let's look at what you are actually operating on today. How secure is the infrastructure that you're using today? It turns out, yeah, it costs more money in some cases because they really were not running a secure operation before. So migrating it to a cloud is, what we're seeing is it's actually just consolidating our security expertise. Mm-hmm. In many cases. Mm-hmm. So we're getting the brightest people at vendor A or brightest people at vendor B, looking at it from a holistic perspective and trying to really get a nice, strong solution. And sometimes that's a whole lot better than what you might have been doing in your mom and pop or even a large agency like Homeland Security. You think we have thousands and thousands. We don't have thousands of people working on one model. We have thousands of people working on 1,000 models. Yeah. So by focusing on one or two or three or getting down to those dozen clouds are really actually, that's where we're seeing, this advantage in terms of capabilities and really focusing that. So okay. it's narrowing the variability.
So what I think I hear you saying, if I take it to the next step, is that for some customers, moving to a cloud solution or a cloud-based infrastructure to move my workloads might be the quickest way to get a higher level of security or certifications that I currently don't have, right? Because
and in some cases, that's what we're doing.
SaaS, and again, I use SaaS because it's a little more mature. We've been buying, Salesforce and stuff since 2000, and cloud infrastructure is really more 2007 when EC2 came out. It is now, again, another competitor survey, one of the top 5 reasons people move to SaaS is for security. Because, and I think this is an ongoing element. Our generation, had to secure our own environments. We had to learn how to secure and lock this stuff down. I'll put my generation when I started working, everything was on a mini computer in my company, and then when we started putting internet apps and stuff in the 90s, people weren't putting up fire. I mean, even network security wasn't intrusion detection and DDoS. You were just like, do I have ports open or not, right? That was the basic levels, and we had to learn to do that. And we learned to lock down our systems and do the right level of encryption and the like. You have a generation of users now coming into the workforce and the tech guys who've never had to do that because someone else always did it for them. They don't build systems. We have tech system administrators who've never actually physically touched servers.
Yes.
And more people who've grown up using, think about iPhones, which all get backed up, that you don't go and configure the backups anymore. You have users, even tech users, who are so used to using off other people's systems, they don't have those skill sets anymore. They don't have here's how I build a firewall, here's how I do everything else. They're just using SaaS applications, web applications, or even infrastructure as a service and have other people handling that. And of course, one of the biggest problems you have is it's an open system. We have DDoS, intrusion detection, every last piece of thing locked in for all of our stuff down, automated encryption on every piece of data. Like I said, we do a lot of HIPAA and stuff, so we have to go through these process. But when I sell you the server, you can do anything you want with it. So I can see the attacks environment. Well, we had some of our internal people in Dimension Data set up some servers, and the first thing they did was open up a bunch of ports so they could do some stuff to them, left them open. The server gets hacked. And I'm getting called from marketing saying, how do we have servers that get hacked? I thought, well, security is, says, well, our servers didn't get hacked. That person's end server got hacked. And we need to put some systems into our company to make sure they're not opening those ports up and stuff. But I have to sell that to the client. The client's a server. They can open whatever port they want.
Yep.
We were responsible for all the security for these software as a service apps, and so how they could sell into GE and the like was we would have to go take the calls and do the compliance certifications for them. And it was everybody has important data. Every app was, it's our corporate IP, it's our financials, it's all these things they thought were very important. Well, we get into the public cloud and we start selling this stuff directly, which is, as you might guess, the public cloud occasionally gets used for nefarious purposes. And so we start actually having to fight the criminals. We have names for them. There's Puff the Magic Dragon, Jack Daniels, Hank from Florida. They all certain different profiles. Turns out that, by the way, most of the Arab Revolution, the newfound freedom in Egypt was being used to hack people's Facebook accounts because we had a huge wave right after Arab Spring of Egyptian hackers come in. And you know what we found out in that time? Governments will do hacking. There are, for things like corporate IP, there are some issues with like the WikiLeaks and stuff to do things on your financials to embarrass you. But the only thing the vast majority of hacking wants is personal information. Social security numbers, Facebook login accounts are the most valuable thing on the internet. They go for $50 a pop. And the reason why is that Citi is not trying to steal stuff from Chase. I doubt there's a lot of criminals running around Citi and Chase trying to steal stuff from each other. Criminals want personal information. Seriously, criminals want, and the fact is the FBI will call up if you're getting hacked by another company. The FBI is going to get involved. That company's going to go after. Criminals want to get personal information, and people don't do nearly enough to secure the one piece of data that the criminals want, which is their employee or customer information in terms of their login credentials, their IDs. Hey, you get someone's login credentials, a good chance they use the same password for Facebook. You get their Facebook login, you get enough information, you call up one day, next thing you know, they're done that, my favorite, which is the hey, I'm down in the Bahamas and I've been arrested scam. Yeah, how's granddad doing? Can you send $5,000? And the grandmother sends it, and they know everything about her because they hacked into her Facebook page. That's the main use of the $50. And they're not doing enough to lock that part of their systems down. So if you are looking about data and what's important, it's just a practical piece. Pay way more attention to personal data of your employees and your clients, because that's what the criminals want. The other stuff, believe it or not, is not going to have nearly the same type of attack profile.